This is Olivia.
This is Abbie, and
we are the Gelman Girls.
With a special guest star, Corinne. Hello.
Welcome, Corinne.
Thank you.
Today we are making
Baby Dutch pancake.
A baby Dutch pancake, which is neither Dutch nor a baby, and kind of not really a pancake. So it's actually German, and it's kind of all of these things we have in front of us here. So we're going to whip up some eggs. We're going to add in some milk and some cream and some whole wheat flour. You can also use regular flour, but we're going to make a whole wheat version today. And a little pinch of salt. And then we're going to bake it, and it's going to puff up really nicely. And we have some berry chia jam that we made. So definitely check out that video for our berry chia jam, which goes really, really nicely with this Dutch baby pancake.
So we have eggs here that Corinne is going to beat, and then we have whole milk, cream, wheat flour, and salt, and a measuring tool.
That's right. We're going to put a half a teaspoon of salt. It's important when you are baking things and you have specific measurements that involve things like flour and salt or baking powder or baking soda that you follow those ingredient measurements exactly. Do you know why?
Why?
What happens between like different things?
So if you have too much flour, it can get really, really, really puffy when it's not supposed to. Or if you have too little flour, it could get really, really thin and like hard.
All of this is true. But basically when you're baking, it's chemical reaction. So when you're just cooking on the stove, like you're making a stir fry or something, you can put a bunch of different ingredients in, and it's not going to have a chemical reaction the way that you would if you were baking something. So if you want a cake to rise, you want our pancake to rise, you want things to get fluffy versus dense and heavy, all of the ingredients that you use when you're baking kind of have a chemical reaction with each other to make those things happen or not happen, depending on whatever you're making.
Do we put it in before we mix the eggs?
Well, let her, she can whisk it, and then you can pour it in while she's whisking if you want. Yeah, sometimes it's easy if you, like what Corinne just did was she hit the yolks with the whisk first, which helped to break them, which makes it easier for her to whisk everything together.
I'm going to do exact measurements so it's the right consistency when it's in the oven. So now I'm gonna add the salt, and I spilled a lot.
But when you cook, things sometimes get messy. You can just clean it up. It's not a big deal. And now, so she's adding the dry flour into the wet ingredients. So you just have to give a little bit time to kind of incorporate it together slowly. Otherwise, it can get kind of gloppy.
So I'm pouring the flour in little by little. So, because if you go too fast, it'll splash everywhere. And also, so Corinne can mix it in. It mixes in thoroughly instead of there being a bunch of clumps.
All right, so next what we're gonna do is I have a cast iron pan that looks like this, that we're gonna put on the stove, and we're gonna melt some butter in there, and then we're gonna pour the batter into the hot pan with the melted butter, and then it's gonna go straight into the oven at 425 degrees. But before we do that, a couple safety points. Cast iron gets hot everywhere, including the handle. So in order to handle the cast iron handle, you need to use a mitt. Also, for the kids out there, cast iron is super heavy. These two had trouble lifting it with one arm themselves. So if you're out there, have an adult help you with the cast iron, or use a pan that is not a cast iron pan that you can lift without burning yourself or having an issue. So we're gonna turn the stove on, and we're gonna drop that, Corinne's gonna drop that butter in there into the pan. Yep. And we're gonna let it melt. Normally what I would have you do, and what's going to be in the recipe, is that you would just simply pour the batter right into the pan on the stove, turn off the stove, and then pop it right in the oven. And it's about 20 minutes at 425. It'll puff up and get golden brown. But for the purposes of today, Olivia's gonna hold this, and I'm going to put the pan on here. She's going to pour the batter in, and then I will put it in the oven. Pour it on. So Olivia's gonna pour it in carefully because it's hot.
And then do we mix it? Because
Nope.
the butter is weird on the side.
That's okay. The whole thing is gonna get puffed up and then there'll be a little buttery goodness on the top, right?
Okay.
And then this is gonna go straight into the oven, like so. And then we're gonna put on our timer for 20 minutes and we'll see you back then. Okay, so this is our Dutch baby pancake, which is
Not exactly a baby.
not
It's
exactly a
deflating.
baby or Dutch. And exactly, you can see we just pulled it out of the oven, so you can see it starting to collapse in on itself. And you can see all the steam coming out. So we're gonna serve this with some jam. You can also serve it with yogurt. You can do a dessert one and have it with ice cream. You can do a savory one and have it with cheese and ham and all sorts of good stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm feeding it to Karen.
So once again, this is Olivia.
This is Abbie
And we are the Gelman Girls.
with a special guest star,
Corinne.
Corinne.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.